Hello and good morning. Welcome into the show here. Marc Farzy with you here on this fine Farzy show Wednesday morning at the Steven Singer Studios. It's game day, ladies and gentlemen. Sixers back at it tonight, 7 o'clock tip-off, game 2 against the Washington Wizards. Things will get a little interesting tonight because here's the fun stuff. I doubt you're going to have Joel Embiid in foul trouble again, so that's you can look forward to that. Tobias Harris, I don't think he's going to get off to that great start, that 28 points, although it'd be nice. I'm not rooting against it, I like to say. But I think a lot of eyes, being that what we've talked about for the last couple of days here, a lot of eyes are going to be on Ben Simmons. So we'll get to that conversation. We have a Phillies victory. No, really, the Phillies beat the Marlins yesterday on what I believe, or I'm at least rooting for, will be the turning point of this series for the Phillies and the Marlins. No, I'm sorry, not this. I don't mean the series, like this series. I mean their season series with the Marlins. We talked yesterday. We let you hear from John Kruk in his post-game comments on NBC Sports Philadelphia after the game 2 days ago, where he said there needed to be something that the Phillies did to step up and turn the tides of this series because the Marlins just know they have your number. I believe that happened yesterday in the 4th inning with Rhys Hoskins. We'll let you know what I'm talking about with that in a second. We got some Eagles conversation to get to as they had some mini camp going on yesterday. Jalen Hurts throwing to Devontae Smith. You got to see the highlights of that in practice. Oh, man, we got so much that we got to get to today. We're going to start it off with those 10-9-8 76ers as game 2 is underway today. By the way, Wes Hall of NBC Sports Washington is going to join the show today. He does a lot of pre- and post-game analyst for host for the Washington Wizards, so he'll give us the Washington perspective. The thing I'm interested to hear from Wes is what's his take on Ben Simmons? Because I know how we feel as a city, as a fan base. I would say like 75% of the fan base is like, love Ben. Love his game. Yes, I'd like more offense, but I love Ben. And they're not focusing on the fact that he only had 6 points against the Wizards in game 1. And then I believe there's about 25% of the Philadelphia fan base is like, Ben Simmons sucks. How dare he only score 6 points? But I'm curious to get the perspective of somebody from outside our city, from outside our fan base, an outsider, if you will, and how they view Ben Simmons' game. So that brings me to this. I mentioned that, Joel Embiid, I think he's going to have a 30-plus point performance again tonight. I think it'll be more spread out throughout the game. This just might be a game where he just goes off. I mean, I'm not predicting that to happen, but we all know if he doesn't get into foul trouble and he has a nice playoff stage to stand on, this might be a game where JoJo wants to show off a bit. So you might see that game from him tonight. I mentioned Tobias Harris. We're probably not going to see that same offensive output. One of the things we always talk about with Tobias is you never really see Tobias take over a game. Well, to hell with that, because he at least took over the game for the first half and made sure the Sixers were down, a point at halftime with his 28-point performance? Yeah. The guy that I'll be focusing on tonight, I think most people will be focusing on tonight, because I think we're going to almost take for granted the type of performance that we can get from Joel Embiid or even Tobias Harris, even with a moderate a moderate first half, or even a moderate 48 minutes of basketball. I think a lot of people are going to be focused on Ben Simmons tonight. And it really comes down to the Ben Simmons that's not even playing above his level of offensive scoring capabilities, where it's a 40-point game or anything crazy like that. But I'm looking at maybe at least getting his average 15, 20 points, that type of thing. But seeing that throughout the game with this version of Ben Simmons that we talk about so often, the aggressive Ben Simmons. The Ben Simmons that's attacking the rim. The Ben Simmons that's getting fouled. The Ben Simmons that, when he attacks the rim, opens up passing lanes for himself to kick out for three-point opportunities with Seth Curry, with Danny Green, with whoever is on the floor with him at that time that can hit a shot from the outside. That's the version of Ben Simmons that I'd like to see tonight. I don't need a 20-plus point performance. I don't need it. Look, I'd love just to see him go 4 for 6 from the foul line, if that's the case there. But ultimately, I think what we're all looking for from Ben Simmons is simply that aggressive style of basketball. That's it. That's what we're looking for. We don't need him to go off a crazy amount of points, be the leading scorer, be the pivotal point of the offense or whatever it might be. Just be the aggressive version of Ben Simmons that we talk about. And I think that would help really push aside anybody that wants to be negative about what Simmons brings to the table. And Doc Rivers got into this again yesterday. I said 2 days ago, it's gotten to the point where Doc Rivers is now just gushing over Ben Simmons, gushing over him. It's not just praise. It's not just patting his player on the back. It's not just talking him up. He's flat out gushing over his facilitator, if you will. And yesterday, he got into it again, saying basically only in Philadelphia is this a talking point. I don't think that's the case. This is one thing I'm going to go ahead and sort of disagree with Doc Rivers on. Anytime I talk to anybody outside the market, any of my friends that are basketball fans from outside the market, they all say the same thing. And they're shocked that that the Sixers haven't traded Ben Simmons at this point because of his lack of scoring, right? I think a lot of people across the country look at Ben Simmons and they see a guy that's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. They see a guy that's a great facilitator, and they see a guy that when he's aggressive, he can provide that scoring that an offense could need. But I think most people also realize that Ben Simmons isn't the guy another team would trade for to get scoring. It's not like he doesn't score on this team because you have Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and Seth Curry and Danny Green and all that. He doesn't score on this team because he's not a scorer. He can score, but it's just not what he does. I mean, you can't call yourself a scorer. And I know he took exception to it during that ESPN interview with Rachel Nichols a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about, I dropped 40 points on Rudy Gobert, and but I'm not a scorer. Like, no, you're not. You had a good game. Congratulations. But you didn't have that type of game. You don't have those type of games often enough to call yourself a scorer. But Doc Rivers got into it saying that in Philadelphia, it's really amazing that that's what we focus on. It's not just us. That's not just a Philadelphia thing. And I don't think it's necessarily the majority looking at Ben Simmons and thinking about what he doesn't bring to the table as a scorer. I think it's a very loud minority that I think the word that comes to mind that's so popular now is casuals. If you're focusing, and we did the whole bit on Monday about, you're a Negadelphian if. You're a Negadelphian if you saw that great run from Tobias Harris and that great closeout by Joel Embiid in the third quarter and fourth quarter, as a matter of fact, in game one. And you saw all that, and you saw how well Matisse Thybulle played when he was in the game, George Hill played when he was in the game, Dwight Howard, and really 11 players playing in game one. You're a Negadelphian if you looked at all that and how great how great the team played, and focused on Ben Simmons' 6 points and 0 for 6 from the foul line. That's the Negadelphians. And I think those are the people that are the very loud minority when talking about Ben Simmons' game. The casuals. I love that term, the casuals. The casuals that were following Ben. Yeah, we can all agree we'd like to see more scoring, but I think the focal point is elsewhere. So for Doc to bring that up, that in Philadelphia, and this is while he was addressing the media yesterday, I thought that, again, is what I'll sort of disagree with Doc Rivers. That's not what everyone in only Philadelphia is focusing on. But regardless, to help the Sixers win game 2, aside from getting performances that are going to be at least on average with what we're used to seeing from Tobias Harris and what we're used to seeing from Joel Embiid, the one player that I do want to see a little bit more from on a scoring sense is Ben Simmons. Yeah, sure. Give me 15 rebounds again. Give me 15 assists, whatever it might be. But just so for my own sanity, so I don't have to deal with that, with the loud minority, Ben, go off and just give me 15 tonight. Go off. Give me 15 tonight. Give me 20 tonight. That way we don't have to deal with the other stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk more about the 76ers coming up in a minute with Wes Hall of NBC Sports Washington. Yesterday, we played a little clip for you from John Kruk. And John Kruk was talking about the Phillies after their game 1 loss of this series to the Marlins. And Krucker went out there and talked about how the Marlins, when they walk on the field with the Phillies, know they're the better team. They know they could struggle against the Braves. They know they could struggle against the Mets. But when it comes to the Phillies, the Marlins look across the field into the opposing dugout and go, we got this. They're going to make a mistake at some point, and we're going to bounce all over it. Kruk said they need to do something to stop that. The Phillies need to do something to stop that momentum that the Marlins have built up. And we're going to get some numbers in our morning rush from the great Jason Stark, who put out these numbers yesterday. They're incredible. But He talked about you need to do something to stop that momentum. I believe Rhys Hoskins did something to stop that momentum. And we'll show you this later in the show. Rhys Hoskins' home run yesterday, that was the difference in the ballgame. Phillies win 2-0. Thanks to Rhys Hoskins' 10th home run of the year. A blast to left center field that he just destroyed a 100-mile-an-hour pitch from Alcantara yesterday and just blasted into the left field stands, left center field stands. That moment, I believe, is the moment Rhys Hoskins and the Phillies were looking for to turn the tides of this season series and a team that they just seem to never be able to beat in the Miami Marlins. The adrenaline, the excitement that you saw from Rhys Hoskins after that home run, I think he knew this team needed that moment where they said, to hell with this Marlins team. We know we're better than this team. We should be beating the crap out of this team when we play them. Enough with missing out on the playoffs because we can't beat this team. Enough of all that. This home run's going to change the tides for when it comes to this series with the Marlins, when it comes to their fate against the Marlins. And that's what it looked like. I mean, sometimes, you can listen to players in post-game press conferences talk about how it's another home run or a win is a win or any other cliche they want to throw out there. But when you actually see that raw emotion from a player after a game or during a game, rather, in the moment, like you saw from Rhys Hoskins yesterday, I don't need any other words. I don't need any other press conferences. I don't need any off-the-field BS. All I need is the tangible, look at that. That's what he did. That was the raw emotion. There was no preconceived notion, nothing like that. It was boom, right there. That's how he feels on hitting a home run against this team. Almost like it was a game, not 7, but game 1 of a World Series. You could tell the pressure. You could tell what that meant to Rhys Hoskins and the Phillies yesterday. So let's hope that this is the turning point. Let's hope that this is the moment that Rhys Hoskins and the Phillies figured it out, cracked the code, if you will, when it came to playing the Marlins. Let's just hope that this is sometimes the team has your number. The Marlins certainly have had the Phillies number until something changes it. Let's hope this is the turning point for the Phillies and the Marlins in their season series and how they've been playing against the Marlins for the last couple of years. What did I get into this? Ryan Kerrigan addressed the media yesterday. Devontae Smith addressed the media yesterday. Jalen Hurts, I believe, as well. Jalen Reagor addressed the media yesterday. And this was all during minicamp. His workouts were going on the field yesterday. It was a heartwarming moment just to watch Devontae Smith catch passes from Jalen Hurts. To see them on the field yesterday at the same time, to see even just the quarterbacks go through their tandem drills with Jalen Hurts and even Joe Flacco dropping back, it made you feel like, man, football's just around the corner. It's May 26th, people. June, late July, we're going to start talking about training camp. We're going to start talking about preseason football, your roster battles in the 3 preseason games. Like that, it's right around the corner. It got me feeling like it's almost here. And I'm not all out. And I hope I have conveyed this to you. I am not having a negative approach to this season. I am going to have a real approach to this season. And I believe the real approach to this Eagles season comes down to the idea that it all depends on Jalen Hurts and if you think Jalen Hurts can play or not. I don't think this is going to be some abysmal, god-awful rebuild year. You heard from Jason Kelce already. You've heard from Lane Johnson already. You've heard from a lot of veterans on this. Brandon Graham being another one. You've heard from those veterans talk about how this season isn't going to be a wash. This season isn't going to be a guess and test. Although that might be what it feels like when you've been linked to Deshaun Watson, you've been linked to at least kick the tires on Aaron Rodgers and some other quarterbacks. But it just feels like you're rumored to maybe move up in the draft. You ended up not doing that. It feels like right now the Eagles are just saying, all right, Jalen Hurts, this is your prove-it year, right? This is your guess and test, if you will. I'm not just going to go into the season and think it's a wash or that the Eagles are going to have some terrible year. It all depends on Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts can play well and mask other things that might be wrong with the secondary, not having a corner to play on the outside, opposite Darius Slay, having the newcomers like Harris try to fit in here in a new defensive scheme, whatever it might be. If Jalen Hurts can distribute the football well, almost be a facilitator in the football world. Get it to Miles Sanders. Get it to Dallas Goedert. Get it to Zach Ertz if he's still here. Get it to your wide receivers. If he can, and the offensive line stays healthy, then I think this Eagles team's going to have a pretty good year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. One thing, I won't go into this season just thinking that because it's a new quarterback, because it's a young quarterback, because it's a first-year head coach, that this team can't do anything. And I hate to draw it back to last year or bring it back to last year, but the Eagles had the advantage, so to speak, when it came to the head coach. They had the same head coach in a COVID year, in the craziness that was last year, and it ended up doing nothing for them. No advantage over the rest of the NFC East in the just awful year it was all around in the NFC East. So maybe this is exactly what you want to hear or you want to see from the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe this is what you want to see from a coaching staff that's just taking over and trying to get their own feet under them. And I'll say this. I talk a lot about Doc Rivers gushing over Ben Simmons and how it doesn't seem fake because it's so over the top. Like, it's not just, Ben's great. It's the description that he always gives, the love, the adulation, right? Well, listening to Jalen Reagor address the media yesterday, he talked about Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff and why they always explain, and how they always explain the why when giving instruction. If they're talking about running routes, if they're talking about a play design, if they're talking about why somebody is lined up where they are during a play, they always provide the why. It's not just a matter of because I said so type of thing. And I'm not saying that was some kind of iron fist, because I think if anybody knows anything about Doug Peterson, that wasn't his style of coaching. But I think it really helps a player when they have that explained to them. The person that's the exact opposite of that is Chip Kelly. If you remember, Chip Kelly was never stopping practices to correct mistakes. They would correct it in the film room later, which to me, these are football players. Most of these guys are going to learn by doing before they learn from just like reading it off a page. They got to go through the motions. And if they're going through the motions improperly, they need to be set right. And they need to be corrected on the field so they can then go through the motions correctly. Well, Jalen Reagor got into that yesterday when he was addressing the media, and he talked about how Nick Sirianni and his staff and Shane Steichen will stop them and say, hey, this is why we're doing this. Just so they have a better approach, a better understanding as to why they're running the route the way they are, why they're lined up in the spot they are during a particular play, why the quarterback's progressions are what they are. That, to me, that is the perfect example of coaching. And I know we've had a lot of fun. We'll continue to have a lot of fun with Nick Sirianni. But if this guy can just flat out coach, the Eagles are going to be in good hands. Just flat out coach. Doesn't have to be great, but just knows how to communicate with his players. And that's the one thing you can always go back to with Doug Peterson. The man did know how to communicate with his players. If there was an issue, he knew to consult his player counsel and all that stuff. He knew how to coach players. If Nick Sirianni can just come out and coach and earn the respect of these players right out of the gate, just by being a good coach, just by knowing how to relate to his players, the Eagles are going to be in good hands. It's a good start before we actually see him on game days. And we're going to jump all over him for press conferences. I think we could give him some praise for what players have said about him so far. Miles Sanders the other day talked about how Nick Sirianni just went up to him and talked about his school alma mater. Or not school alma mater. What was it? What's it called? The school, not the school song, school motto. The school motto for where Miles Sanders went to high school. And he was like, man, how do you know that? Well, we looked it up because he gave a damn. And if players know you give a damn about them, guess what? They're going to play for you. So I'm crossing my fingers. They get off to a nice little start here, that they're running some practices. The players continue to praise the coaching staff. And sooner rather than later, we get to see these guys on the football field. It seems like whenever you see them just on the practice field for OTAs, it feels like it's just around the corner. Can't wait for everything to get underway with the Philadelphia Eagles. Without further ado, we're going to get to our friend Wes Hall, NBC Sports Washington, so we can concentrate on this Sixers-Wizards matchup tonight. I told you what I want to see. Go and hit me up in the comments throughout the show today. Hit me up on Twitter as well. And just let me know what you want to see. What's the number one thing you're going to be looking for tonight against the Wizards? Told you I want to see the aggressive Ben Simmons. It wasn't my focus. I told you it wasn't my focus in game one. But going forward, because I think the Sixers are going to end up routing the Wizards from this point out. I don't think they're going to lose a game. I think this is going to be a sweep. I think the Sixers would like to see, and I think even Ben Simmons, for his own confidence, would like to see him be able to score some points because you're going to need that in round 2, in round 3, and then obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, the NBA Finals. Before we talk to Wes Hall, I do want to tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer Studios, I like to make sure everyone goes over there to Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut or at IHateStevenSinger.com. And why is that? Because I want you to get the perfect price. I want you to feel like you're being treated like, guess what? You're the valued customer. And that's what you get every single time you go to Steven Singer Jewelers. You get a real jewelry expert to walk you through all the inventory. And on top of that, you get that perfect price. So when you go in, you don't have to worry about negotiating. You just sit down, you look at what you like. They show you what you like. They show you basically anything you want to see. And you can see the jewelry. You can see the diamonds. You can see everything there at Steven Singer Jewelers. Real jewelry expert will make sure they explain everything to you and maybe even help you with some ideas. Maybe you're not sure what you want to buy. Well, guess what? They're right there to help you along the way. No pressure, no haggling. There's no sale that you feel, oh, I missed the sale last week. Oh, dang it. No, guess what? The sale's all the time because it's always at the perfect price. Every day, the perfect price at Steven Singer Jewelers. Other jewelers might mark up the jewelry just to try to knock it down in front of you so you feel like you're getting some kind of deal, like you negotiated, right? You got to worry about the guy next to you, whether or not they're paying more or less than you. Forget about it. You go to Steven Singer Jewelers, you get the perfect price every single time. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, other corner of 8th and Walnut, or at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's get to our friend Wes Hall, NBC Sports Washington, to preview Game 2 and the rest of the series between the 76ers and the Washington Wizards. Joining us now on the Zatos Investments guest line, my buddy from NBC Sports Washington. Welcome into the program, Mr. Wes Hall. Wes, what's going on, brother?
I'm great, Farzy. How you doing, bud? Ready to talk with you, man?
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to kicking it, my friend. We got so much to get to with this little series going on between the Wizards and the 76ers. First off, I just want to jump into this because I think we know what we have in Ben Simmons in Philadelphia, but I'm curious to get an outsider's perspective because when it comes to Ben Simmons, he becomes a lightning rod. 15 rebounds, 15 assists in game 1, 0 for 6 from the foul line, only 6 points in the win. Yeah. I look at it and go, wow, defense was incredible, owned the glass, 8 offensive boards, setting up his teammates. Other people look at it as just, oh, he didn't score any points. As an outsider from Philadelphia, Wes, what do you make of Ben Simmons' game?
So I like nicknames because you guys have some players on, especially Joel with the process, right? You guys gave him the process, but then you think about guys like Tim Duncan back in the day, big fundamental. Ben Simmons to me is a great facilitator. That's what he is. That's what you should be embracing. Don't worry about the points. That's never going to be his strong suit, especially shooting the ball. We know this. Go ahead and lean into the fact that he's going to get other people opportunities to put points on the board. He's going to help you in rebounds, and he's going to be a defensive nightmare for opposing backcourts because he's so big. It's not often you get a guy who's basically 6'10" that can run the point and defend off ball as well. So for me, think of him as a guy who will continue to be the facilitator, the great facilitator. That is Ben Simmons from my perspective.
I love that nickname. If you can go with a big fundamental, I'll go with a big facilitator any day of the week. Wes, so the Wizards come into this series. They played some great basketball, 145 points they put on the Pacers. They come into this series. They carry a little bit of that offensive momentum. 62 first-half points against the Sixers in a game where Joel Embiid had foul trouble. But when you look at this Wizards team, what were your expectations at the beginning of the season, and are they overachieving from what you expected, or are they underachieving?
So going back to the beginning of the season, down in D.C., we were expecting playoffs because that's literally what we were saying. We got the acquisition of Russ in the John trade, and so we're like, all right, we're moving forward. We think we got a playoff roster, especially in the Eastern Conference. Let's get it on. And then the season happened, which was the first 11 games. We started off 2-9. Then we go through some injury stuff that we didn't know at the time about Russell Westbrook in those first 16 games. So we didn't get off to the start that we wanted to. Then we get hit by the COVID bug, and that runs rampant through the team as well. So a lot of different factors that were just contributing to us not having the results that we were expecting. Latter part of the season, since April 7th, we go 17-6, and everybody's like, this is the team we wanted the entire time. So to your point, we actually are exactly where we expected to be at the beginning of the season. Now, did it take the road that we expected to get here? No. But then I can also acknowledge the fact that looking at the team at the way it's comprised now, are they overperforming? I would say yes. Again, due to the road that it took to get here, knowing that we don't have Thomas Bryant, who we lost him game 10 of the season in the Miami game. Denny Abdia's gone down as well. Davis Bertans has struggled to find a consistent groove throughout the season. This is kind of who we are, but we're also a dangerous team because this is an 8th seed that has given Philly fits throughout the season. Now, mind you, game 1, we did the exact same thing to Joel. Very weak, lackluster first half. Second half of the game, he finally gets activated. The second game, it's Seth Curry who goes off that ends up being the straw that breaks the camel's back. So for the Wizards, it's really just about matchups and playing at 100%. That's how the Wizards will be able to win. They have to play at 100%. If they don't do that, then it definitely leans in the favor of the team that's the best team of the Eastern Conference.
What does it say, Wes, about the Wizards for them to be able to bounce back, at least the way they did after losing to the Celtics? Because I thought they were going to win that game, even though it was in Boston. I thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to get the 7th seed, but sure enough, they ended up facing the Sixers, obviously beating the Pacers and then facing the Sixers. What does it say about that squad, the Wizards squad, that's able to bounce back from that kind of loss?
Tenacity. If I put it in one word, tenacity, resilience, and that's obviously led by the pairing of Russ and Brad. And there's 2 different types of alpha dogs when you have Russ and Brad. Brad is a definitive alpha dog, but he's the quiet presence of it. He'll talk to you if you talk to him on the court. That's who Brad is. Russ is the loud pit bull in the backyard alpha dog who you know because you can hear him from down the block. You know, when you get past that, when you get to that house, you walk a little bit faster because you just don't want any of the smoke with him. Their leadership is really what this team is all about. And the fact that they were able to bounce back from that Boston loss, because again, like you said, nobody was expecting the Wizards to lose that game because we're like, wait a second, Boston's kind of hobbled, no Jaylen Brown, so they can take this team. Well, we found out that we had a matchup nightmare in Jason Tatum. So moving on, we look at the Indiana game and we say, all right, coming into this situation, we beat them 3 times during the regular season. It's rare that you can beat a team the 4th time in a row, but then you look at who's in the backcourt for the Wizards. The guy who absolutely loves playing against the Pacers, Russell Westbrook. He put his best numbers against the Pacers this year. So that's where the matchup came in, where we knew that we had the advantage in our backcourt. And again, all it was necessary was the Wizards playing their type of basketball, returning the favor that the Pacers gave. Who do they put the $140 up on?
The Pacers, 141, 145?
Yes, they put up 144 on Charlotte, their game before, and that's what sent Charlotte home. So we just decided to return the favor and put up a $145 on them. So, the basketball gods love karma. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Sorry, I missed you there. So I want to ask you this. Bradley Beal, you talk about alpha dog and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Beal has the smelly look when Ben Simmons jacked that 3. I believe it was the end of the first half, and he was just kind of waving him off like that. Is that the type of player that you're talking about when you talk about that alpha dog mentality? And also, what did you make of Bradley Beal with that little signal to Ben Simmons?
Look, first of all, Bradley Beal is one of the most memeable players in the NBA right now, and you have to love him for the amount of personality that he shows. Like, a lot of guys kind of, try to low key with it. No, Bradley Beal's like, bro, for real? You gonna shoot that? Like, for real? Okay. But his attitude is really more so displayed in his game. So he acknowledges the moment. If you get him on the play, you got me. But then he'll come right back at you. And that's what I love about watching him on the court. It's really this very aware person who's on the court, not only aware of his game, but he's aware of the moment. And that's what makes it fun. Hello, crime tape Beal. Anytime he hits the ground, he lays there for a second, and you're like, all right, they got it. All right, crime tape Beal. So, yeah, Bradley, we love him.
So you and I were talking before this series a little bit, and one of the things that jumped out was if the Wizards were going to steal one game in this series, it would most likely be game 1. Sixers have a week off in between games. Then Joel Embiid goes out with like 3 minutes into the game. He's in foul trouble, so you're not seeing him much in the first half. On those 2 things combined, I would have expected the Wizards to win. Do you still see the Wizards stealing a game at some point in this series, at least a game?
I do, because this is the NBA, and I know I was wrong on game 1. Wag the finger on me. I get it. I was wrong on game 1. A little bit of home cooking and ambition, but I justify it because you're absolutely right. It makes sense. You would think that the team that's well-oiled and still rolling and hasn't had a lot of rest would continue that momentum, especially after a big win. But Philly, being Philly, a rather deep team, well coached by Doc Rivers, they make the adjustments, and that's what happened, especially in that third quarter. So looking at the series moving forward, you've got game 2 on Wednesday, game 3 on Saturday, both 7 o'clock tips. And the fact that this is a longer stretch of rest days at the Wizards that they have not had all season long, especially since All-Star break. 2 days in between a game? What? I don't know what that life's about. Like, I walked around my house the other day on Monday, bored out of my mind because I had an off day. I don't know what to do with myself here, Farzy. So I really don't know what to do. I'm like, I know my fiance's like, don't you have a meeting to be in? Don't you have to No.
You're getting on her nerves.
Right. I've transferred my energy to her. But it's a game that I think we can still it's between game 2 and game 3. And a lot of people are predicting a blowout in game 2 because they're like, oh, they destroyed him in game 1. They'll do it again in game 2. That's why you play the games. That's why we play the games. It could be game 2. If they don't take game 2, game 3 back in DC in front of the home crowd, especially in a playoff environment, knowing that they get to see Brad and Russ in a different level, that might be the one that they take. So I don't discount the Wizards at all. That's why I love watching them each night, because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you this much. As much as I love Tobias Harris, I don't think you're seeing 28 first-half points from Toby again.
He put up 37 on us, 28 in the first half. I'm like, okay, I need an APB on Tobias Harris. Shout out to University of Tennessee, ball for life. I need someone to figure out where Tobias Harris is at all times and become his shadow. If you don't mind, you can guard him in the jersey. I don't care. Pinch him. Tell him a story. Ask him for his tax bracket. Whatever it takes to distract this man, do it.
You obviously you know many markets across the country, and I know you know the Philly market, and I know you know the DC market, of course, very well. Raul Neto became a lightning rod in Philadelphia last year. How are you guys enjoying Raul Neto, who I am just shocked to see as a starter in your lineup?
Look, if there's a rapper by the name of Lil Scrappy, and I swear if he did not exist, my nickname for Raul Neto would be Lil Scrappy, because he really is the scrappiest guy on the court. I know he was a lightning rod for you guys. We love him down here. We absolutely love him because A, he hustles harder than anybody on the court. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And that's the crazy part. He understands the moment. He has been crucial in a couple of plays this season for us where the game was pretty much over on one play had Neto not been that hustle X factor. It's the things that don't show up in the box score that you have to applaud Neto for. He plays beyond his height. He's an absolute pest on defense. And on offense, he knows what he's supposed to do. And he knows if he's not having a good shooting night, feed the ball to somebody else. I love Neto for that fact alone.
I know I'm gonna get blown up in the comment section about asking about Raul Neto.
I know. But hey, what's the thing like trash to treasure? I don't think he's trash, but he's definitely a treasure to us. So by all means, thank you for allowing him to come on down 95 and land here in DC. No
worries. It became one of those things where he was a victim of Brett Brown's rotations. It wasn't so much that we were angry at Raul Neto. We were angry at the situation. One of those deals.
Been there before.
Yeah, right, exactly. I always want to know this from the other side here. We looked at the first game and we thought the officiating was terrible. From a Philadelphia perspective, what did DC think?
Blow the whistle. And I know it's a song from Too Short, but I mean it. Like, seriously, blow the whistle. At some point, can we? You know what, Farzy? Here's what I want more than anything. It's about timing with whistles, okay? You're going to blow the whistle. Blow it when the foul happens. Don't wait for the guy to throw the shot up and then it rolls around the rim. It doesn't go in. And then you're like, oh, yeah, foul. No. Be consistent on this thing, because what it does is it makes it's a problematic viewing experience, because instead of enjoying the basketball on the court, you're angry at the referees, and you never want the refs to be a part of the game. You want them to be a part of the rules of the game, but not the outcome of the game. And so I know their job is difficult. I know it's hard. They got to put up with a lot of different dynamics, a lot of different personalities, and stuff's happening in real time. I get it. But for me, just a little more consistency on the whistles would be very helpful for me as a viewer, let alone a broadcaster.
Absolutely. Consistency and knowing when to call it, I think, is the perfect way to describe that. Bottom line for this series, this point going forward, Sixers are up on the Wizards right now, 1-0 before game 2 takes place. You still see, like you said, one game, the Wizards steal. How do you see this series winding down?
I'm definitely going to say Wizards in 6, bro. No, I'm not going to say that. What I will say is this. It's going to be a dynamic series that's going to exceed people's expectations on both ends of the court, because the Wizards are going to challenge Philly in a way that I don't think a lot of teams can really exploit them. It's rare that you see 2 actual all-stars in a backcourt, and we have a 3-headed monster in Lopez, Lynn, and Gafford. that's a matchup that, you really aren't going to see. Plus, there's so many different dynamics and ties between the two teams. You guys have Mike Scott and Dwight Howard, who used to be down here. We've got Neto, who used to be up there. So we're trading players around here. It's a hodgepodge of basketball in the Eastern Conference. So when it's all said and done, the Wizards are going to get one of these games. I hope that they end up getting the series. That was my professional answer. Personally, DC above all, let's get it going, baby. And I'm all about that smoke. Just blow me up in Twitter because I will cut my phone off in a heartbeat.
I don't have your Twitter in front of me. What's your handle?
Real Wes Hall, RealWeshall. If y'all get too crazy up there, I promise you I will reply to one of you and then I'll put my phone down.
No, I forget who it is. Some reporter in Boston has in their profile, careful, I bite back.
Right. And I'm like, you know why I don't really fight back much on it? Yeah. I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, why we're arguing over this? Tomorrow will come, and then we'll have a different argument. If I engage in every single debate, I'm wearing myself out here. I can't do that.
Gotcha. Wes Hall, always great catching up with you, man. I appreciate you. First ever guest here on the Farzy show. So you're making your Farzy show debut, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, first of my kind, baby. I'm glad to be here. I actually put on my real glasses and everything so I could see what's happening.
Thank you.
Believe it, Farzy.
Wes Hall, NBC Sports Washington. You can always check him out down there. All sorts of great stuff. Great content, as we like to say.
You,
Wes, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining us here on the Zatos Investments guest line.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Always a pleasure talking to Wes Hall. I used to interview him for a little segment we used to do called Betting Break at NBC Sports Philly. Just a great guy. And then all I'll say is this. This is all I can say about this right now. We have a little project going on, Wes and I, and a name you know. Hopefully when I'm able to actually announce that, we'll be able to talk about it. But Wes, of course, has been following the Wizards and reporting on the Wizards for quite some time now. So I wanted to get his take on all of it. I will say I love the idea of the great facilitator. And I'm not putting Ben Simmons in the same, neither was Wes for that matter, in the same category as Tim Duncan, like future Hall of Famer, right? I'm not doing that just yet. But is there I don't think there's a more boring nickname in all of sports than the big fundamental. Like, here's a guy who just does everything right. Okay. But the big fundamental is one of the most boring nicknames in the history of sports for Tim Duncan. The great facilitator. I mean, it's totally appropriate. Is that a good nickname? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not doing a nickname show. That's not happening. But I'm just saying, is it an appropriate one for Ben Simmons? Because I think it is. Like, the great facilitator doesn't jump out to you and be like, this guy's going to dominate today. The great facilitator is like the maestro. It's like, that's it. He's just keeping the rhythm. He's keeping the beat. Nothing. He's done this. That doesn't look exciting. The guy throwing it down, the guy shooting fadeaways, the guy attacking the rim. That's exciting. Yeah, the great attacker. I don't know. Anyway, but facilitator, I would say, is totally appropriate when it comes to Ben Simmons because that's the main focus of his game. If the Sixers need somebody to be aggressive and go after the rim, and attack the rim, he will certainly do that. If the Sixers need somebody else, like Game 1, just to set up Tobias Harris, or just to set up Joel Embiid, or just to play phenomenal defense against Bradley Beal, then yes, then Ben Simmons go ahead and go out there and do that. By the way, one of the things, and I mentioned this in the interview, but I didn't even highlight this on Tuesday. Ben Simmons comes out there and gets 15 of his rebounds, 15 rebounds. 8 of them were on the offensive glass. So then you're talking about second chance points opportunities. Another great thing for the Sixers. So the great facilitator, I think, is totally appropriate when it comes to Ben Simmons, but I'd like to see a great attacker, at least tonight in Game 2. And also, as far as the series being a series, I don't think the Sixers are going to blow the Wizards out from here on out. I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a sweep. But I think you have enough scorers in Russell Westbrook and obviously Bradley Beal. Bertans is a good enough shooter from the outside. I think you have enough guys there with Washington to keep these games close. And I don't think that necessarily would have been the case if you didn't have Joel Embiid off to the start that he had. But you had Tobias Harris playing near perfect basketball in that first half. But I think going forward, I think the Wizards will at least make it. They'll make it close. I'm going to be monitoring, and we'll get to it a little bit more in the big bet segment when it comes to betting the Sixers, looking at that line to see, I think the Sixers will win, or can they at least cover the 8.5 that they're up against, for instance, tonight. And we'll talk about that a little bit more coming up in our big bet segment. But right now, I want to tell you about our friends over there at PHLSportsNation.com. Check them out over there at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs, social media, as well. That's Philadelphia Sports Nation. It's PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. You've heard me talk about this delicious, delectable popcorn from Herr's. It's great. I've killed 2 bags of these already. All right. The amazing fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Herr's. You've had the sweet corn from Herr's before, the fire roasted sweet corn from Herr's, that buttery, savory deliciousness, right? This has a little bit of heat to it, a little bit of spice, just enough. I'll say this. There are certain things that just go great with a game and an ice cold beer. And you guys know me, I'm not a big beer guy. I drink mostly whiskey. But man, when it comes to this delicious, fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn, sofa plus sports plus fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Herr's and an ice cold beer. Summer day set. All right, tell you that right now. Summer day set. You're on the beach, you're at a barbecue, or like me, just sit on the sofa enjoying a game and a beer. This is the perfect complement to that. The fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Herr's. It's the perfect bite of sweet corn in every single bite with a little bit of spice. Fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Herr's. Kick your snack shelf up to the next level. And how about Zatos Investments? Our good friends at Zatos Investments. They sponsor our guest line. Wes Hall was just our guest. Landon Dickerson was our guest yesterday. Second guest of the day on the Zatos Investments guest line. Man, that was a good interview. Or excuse me, I don't want to say it was a good interview, but he was a fun subject. Fun subject. We'll get to that a little bit more. I'll do a little bit of a recall with that. But Zatos Investments, up-and-coming luxury real estate and development company in the Philadelphia area. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction, townhomes, and condo buildings. Zatos works closely with their private investor base to provide them with substantial returns on their investment, ranging from 20 to 40%. These guys are crushing it right now in the Philadelphia real estate game. To see some of their properties, follow them on their social media accounts, Zatos Investments, or you can simply hit them up at ZatosInvestments.com. That's info@ZatosInvestments.com. So make sure you reach out and check out ZatosInvestments.com as well. FanUp. Man, did I get in on some challenges on FanUp yesterday? And I hope you did too. Download the FanUp app in the App Store right now. Get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. I'm trying to win that $200. Here's the thing. Obviously they're a sponsor of the show. Normally I can't. I try not to win stuff. I try not to win prizes. But when you have a $200 Nike gift card, it's time to party. All right. So there's plenty of challenges that were available yesterday. You could challenge me on there as well. Download the FanUp app in the App Store. Get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate. The days of playing fantasy sports alone, they're over. So enter FanUp, super fun daily and weekly contests. Answer fun questions. Rise on the leaderboard. Squad up with your friends as well, and you can win even more. So do what I do. Use the FanUp app, promo code FanUp. May the best fan win. You could be the real MVP with FanUp. How about our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Steak and Maine, heart of Northeast Maryland. Delicious, fine steaks, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar. If you like dining on a patio, if you like dining in the dining room, whatever it might be, they have it all at Steak and Maine. And my man, Tony Cavada, who you'll see, by the way, in the not-too-distant future, because he was down there at the cheesesteak thing I told you about. He's got his own Cavada Cellars wine. So great wine pairing. Oh, man, nice wine. Go with a steak. You live in life, basically. Living like a king. Steak and Maine. Check them out at steakandmaine.com, right in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Open every day for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch as well. How about our social media check-in? I see the comments flying when it comes to Wes Hall and what he had to say about this series. Okay. We're going to get more into this Phillies Marlins series. I told you that. We're going to let you hear from John Kruk again to reset the table of what he had to say 2 games ago after they lost to the Marlins. And then we'll also let you see the turning point that I believe Krucker was talking about from Rhys Hoskins yesterday. At least that's what I'm going to fanboy out over. That's what I'll be crossing my fingers for. Betty's checking in saying, good morning to everyone except Mike Sealski. Damn it, people. Come on. I think do I stop acknowledging it? Nah, it's funny. I'm going to keep going. Thank you, Benny. Max checking in. Laugh my ass off. All right. Benny against the Marlins. I understand it was against the Marlins. I understand, as you're saying, they didn't deserve to win. Alcantara was lights out. One lucky pitch that Hoskins jumped on. That was a 100-mile-an-hour pitch that, yes, caught a lot of the plate. But, man, Hoskins, you could tell. I mean, look, you're not getting around on a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and belting that to left center field as a right-handed hitter without looking fastball. And he was obviously looking fastball, and he jumped all over that. So I give him at least credit for that. Tim saying, take it and be happy. I'm with you, Tim. But I'm going to take it to the next level and say turning point. All right, we'll get into that a little bit more later. What else do we have? Oh, the goat's in. Mally, good morning. Dan Schwartz checking in. Good morning, all. Couple positives. Vinny Velasquez. How about him? 6 scoreless yesterday. And the offense explodes for 2 runs. We're all very excited. Excuse me. Mac, okay, when I was talking about casuals with Ben Simmons, Mac is telling me it sounds like an AMC TV show. It kind of does. Next up on Casuals. Last time on Casuals. Yeah, that kind of does, actually. Tim's checking in. How the hell are we allowed? Bryce Harper. So, Tim, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring that up in our morning rush, but let's jump into it now. So, Joe Girardi has been saying for quite some time now that Bryce Harper is fine. Well, Joe Girardi addressed the media before yesterday's game and said that Bryce Harper is going on the IL, retroactive to 2 days ago, now 3 days ago, May 23rd. Wrist injury, it looks like. They're calling it a forearm contusion, and there's no way you could tell me after watching Bryce Harper over the last week and a half that the man was healthy. I mean, there's no better example than watching him play right field against the Blue Jays, and he looked like a shell of himself. I mean, that was just like malpractice. And you're watching him, and there's no way you can tell me that he wasn't hurt. So finally, yesterday, Joe Girardi, before the game comes out, and says, oh, yeah, by the way, he's hurt. Miss Guzzi. This is your big investment. This is a guy that can carry your offense for weeks at a time. And you're not handling him with kid gloves. And look, as ridiculous as it is for the Phillies to even roll him out there and Joe Girardi and Dave Dombrowski to not have a better option than a guy who was all banged up is awful. I do give a lot of credit, at least to Bryce Harper for going out there and be like, yeah, I can still play. Like, at least being available. Because he could have just been like, yeah, no, I can't go for you guys today. So impressive that at least he was trying to battle through the injury. I had been saying that there's no way that guy's healthy, and now it's finally official. It's officially official that he's not healthy. So at least they're going to give him a little bit of a break here. It's bro. T-bro, my man's checking back in. Fiery hot, fire roasted sweet corn. I will say it's addictive. That's how I'll say that. I don't know if they'll appreciate the appropriation that you gave to it, but let's just say that it's addicting. It's very addicting. Dan's checking back in. All right, I can't go there. Don't tell me. Save it for T-bro. You'll enjoy it. Jacob's checking in saying this chat is now obsessed with the fiery hots. Very good. Coming to PA in a few weeks. April! What's going on? She's coming to PA. Where can I find this magical popcorn? I believe they got it at the Acme. I know somebody texted me the other day, saying, "Hey man, where do I get these? Where do I get this, John?" That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but that's what they texted me. I think the Phillies hired the Eagles doctors. Come on now, people. Was it Matt checking in? Oh no, Rick's checking in saying, "Let's bombard Wes Hall's Twitter." Go right ahead. Check him out. Real Wes Hall, at Real Wes Hall. Thank him for coming on. I think he's a great guy. I think he was a good guest, too. Yeah, make sure you guys holler at him. He's not going to have a lot to talk about coming up in a week. Yeah, I agree with you, unfortunately. Wizards. I think the Wizards are cooked. And I hate to be that guy. That's like, the Wizards are cooked. I think there'll be close games. And I certainly wouldn't be shocked if the Wizards still went on to steal a game, because I still feel like there's going to be a game where Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook are just too much, and they're just hitting everything, and Bertans is going to go out there, and he's going to hit a bunch of threes, and it's just going to drive us crazy. How about Raul Neto getting conversation? Huh? That's the way I feel like it's just going to go down. I do feel like they're going to steal one, or it should be at least come close to stealing one. If they were going to steal one, I think it was going to be game one, and that obviously didn't happen. But now I feel like they're still going to battle the Sixers. Going to be close games down the line. And it's not going to be a blowout, but I still think the Sixers, they end up with the sweep. If I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm going to bet the sweep from here on out. Thanks to everybody that checked in on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Now let's get into our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. John Kruk, after the Game 1 loss to the Marlins, had this to say. We played it for you yesterday. This is on NBC Sports Philadelphia. John Kruk talking about the Phillies needing a little bit of a turning point here. Here's Krucker.
Here's what I see. Watching the games TV, the last series, and now this game tonight, the Marlins know they're a better team than the Phillies, and the Phillies don't think they're better than the Marlins. That's the bottom line. The Marlins take the field every time they play the Phillies, and they might not be better than the Mets. They might not be better than the Braves. They know they're better than the Phillies. And they play like they're better than the Phillies. And they wait for the Phillies to make mistakes, and they do, and then they capitalize. That's that. The Phillies need to remedy this thing quick, because if it wasn't for the Marlins, the Phillies would have been in the postseason last year. And can the Marlins be the team that keeps them out of the postseason this year? More than likely, they better start beating them.
And I think the moment that John Kruk was talking about in terms of they got to find a way to remedy this quickly, I believe that moment, and this is what I'm going to hope for, came in the fourth inning with Rhys Hoskins at the plate. He slams a home run that they said only went 410 feet. There's no way that was only 410 feet. That was a bomb from Rhys Hoskins yesterday of Alcantara. Here's Hoskins. Now, this is after he hit the home run. Just look at the emotion. It'll be on loop for you. This is after he hit the home run. Look at him looking into the dugout. And I'll just say this. To the people that have seen this already on Twitter and social media, this is muted, so you can't hear what he said, but I'll explain it to you, and I think you can read his lips anyway. Okay, it wasn't muted. I thought I muted it. What the hell? See the emotion, and you hear the emotion there? It's fun to be on the internet. You hear the emotion there. You see the emotion there. I believe that was the moment right there that Rhys Hoskins was pressing for, this team was pressing for, and I am now rooting for, hoping for, crossing my fingers for, that this was the moment the Phillies were able to turn it around against the Marlins. And when we look back and we go, oh, remember the Phillies, they couldn't beat the Marlins? Do you remember that? Thank God that Rhys Hoskins hit that home run in the fourth inning of that one game against the Marlins to turn the tides against this team. That's what I hope is what we saw yesterday. And certainly that didn't look like just another home run. Home run number now 101 for Rhys Hoskins in his career. Let's hope that's not let's put it this way. You watch that home run get hit, you know it's just not some other home run. You knew that there was a lot of weight on the shoulders of not just Rhys Hoskins, but the Phillies and how they play the Marlins. So fingers crossed. And you know what? After Vince Velasquez goes 6 scoreless for you yesterday, how about Aaron Nola on the bump for you today? 6:40, first pitch. I don't know who the Marlins are rolling out there. It's still saying TBA. But let's get Aaron Nola back on track while we're at it. All right, now give me 7 scoreless today, Aaron Nola. Be lights out today, Aaron Nola. Let's see you do that. Phillies 6:40 today, start time. Aaron Nola be on the bump for them. NBA playoffs yesterday. Mavericks over the Clippers take a 2-0 series lead, 127 to 121. Luka Doncic, 39 points for Luka yesterday. Lakers over the Suns, they even the series at 1 apiece, 109 to 102. Anthony Davis, 34 points. LeBron James, 23 points. Nets all over the Celtics, 130 to 108. And that brings us to our big bets segment brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings. Oh, no, wait, hold on. I want to do one more callback here. Yes, Landon Dickerson yesterday. It's funny, and before we rolled the interview, before I hit record on the interview yesterday with Wes, we were talking about things that if you're doing an interview, there's always something out of the ordinary that will get picked up. Like, for instance, yesterday, I'm interviewing Landon Dickerson, and he tells us about how he can play any spot on the offensive line. Like, we've got some X's and O's stuff, and he says he's comfortable. He just wants to be on the football field. He's comfortable wherever. He talks about his work in the offseason during quarantine, how he built a gym in his house, in his garage, so he could stay in shape. We talk about his lunch with Jason Kelsey and all that stuff. And what gets picked up yesterday from the Landon Dickerson second-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, the fact that he got a parking ticket. He's one of us. One of us. One of us. That's what got picked up yesterday. The fact that, just like you and I, Landon Dickerson pulled up somewhere in Center City, Philadelphia, or as he called it, downtown. And he parked his car, came back, and there was a nice little welcome note from the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Or as some people like to blow up in our comments here, the devil. Anyway. But yeah, he's one of us. And I really appreciate the fact that he didn't jump all over the cheesesteak cliche of Philadelphia. And by the way, I'm always amazed. He said he wanted to go to all the great restaurants throughout the city. And somebody called me out on Twitter for not listing off a bunch of great restaurants. But anyway, he didn't jump on the cheesesteak thing. But it always is amazing to me. I remember interviewing Malik Jackson when he just come to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I was like, what did you know about Philadelphia? And he goes, I had to look for it on a map because he didn't know where it was. And I was looking at him like, is he messing with me? And he totally wasn't messing with me. He had no idea. But it's always amazing that people yesterday, Landon Dickerson said, great fans and Meek Mill. It doesn't jump to anybody's mind. This is where America was born. You're welcome, rest of the country. Anyway. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Seems like a great dude. I was never rooting against the guy, but after you have a conversation with him and you kind of learn a little bit about what makes him tick and his attitude and all that, I'm really pulling for the guy now. And let's hope for a bright future in the NFL for Landon Dickerson. I also and we didn't get into this too much, but during his introductory press conference, he was at his fiance now, Brooke, is a beach volleyball player. And he was asked, who's the better athlete? And he didn't just right away do the gentlemanly thing, oh, she'd kick my butt, whatever. He was like, what surface are we on? Are we on sand? No. Are we on grass? Oh, it's me then. He was very strategic in his answer to that. But anyway, Landon Dickerson was a good time, great time to speak with him yesterday. Let's see here. What else do we have here? We have our Big Bet segment brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings.com. That was our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, brings us our Big Bets segment. Before I get into tonight's bets, here's what I did yesterday. Yesterday I screwed up. I was late getting to the Nets Celtics game. The Nets went into that game, I believe, a -8.5 favorite. I thought they'd cover that, and boy, did they yesterday. A 130-108 victory. The Nets beat the Celtics. I wasn't able to take advantage of that. Hopefully, you were able to take advantage of that. So I did something stupid. I was like, I can make up for lost time. And I went ahead and bet the over for the second quarter, which was going off at 57 points, 57 flat. That came up 5 points short. So I lost out on that bet. But then I did something that was usually pretty dumb. I can make up for it right now. But I did it anyway. I was like, the hell with it. There's no way this bet's going to miss. So after the Celtics were getting blown out, I figured, okay, fourth quarter will be slower. They're definitely going to get the under if the under's around 52.5, which it usually is. Sure enough, the under was 52.5. And that ends up hitting by 5 points. So I was able to make money back. And this was a little bit more of a sure bet, so I put even more money down on it. I won the money back. I did. I lost out on in the second quarter. So guess who's coming out on top? This guy. So basically, I walk out of last night about $5 richer. All right. Tonight's big bet, Sixers -8.5 going up against the Wizards, obviously, in Game 2. Knicks -2.5 going up against the Hawks tonight in their Game 2 at MSG. I like both these teams to cover that. I like the Knicks to win. I like the Knicks to win tonight against the Hawks, and I like the Sixers to win and cover tonight against the Wizards. So those are two bets I'm going with tonight. That's two big bets. Go with tonight. NBA playoffs. I like the Sixers minus 8.5. I like the Knicks minus 2.5. Why not bet two games and give myself agita as the night goes on? My thanks to Wes Hall, who joined the show today and talked all things Washington Wizards. My thanks to you for joining the program, all the people that commented and followed the show. And by the way, now over 900 subscriptions now. 900 subscribers on YouTube. Thanks to everybody that has hopped on board with the show so early, just a couple of months into it. It is much appreciated. Thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program today. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be talking about them 76ers tomorrow. Up 2-0 on the Washington Wizards. Keep our fingers crossed for that. And also, how about this? How about the Phillies? Take 2 or 3 for the Marlins, right? Let's party. Thanks for joining the show, everybody. Thanks for following. Talk to you guys tomorrow from the Steven Singer Studios. I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of the day. Let's go Sixers. Take it easy, everybody.